Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to the Gang Live. You know, I love doing the Gang Live. And one of the reasons I really like it is on Friday. When I say happy Friday, it's really Friday. I always felt a little guilty saying happy Friday when we were recording Thursday because I just didn't feel it. But now I feel it. So happy Friday to you all. We got a great gang here today. Let me introduce you to them. We've got our friend Guy Currier. We've got the one and only Camberley
Happy Friday.
Bates. Happy Friday, Guy. Happy Friday, Camberley. We've got the guitar man, Mitch Ashley, and the Dean, Mike Vizard. Gang, welcome. We've got some good stuff to talk about. Davos is over, so I don't know if we'll talk about that. Well, we still got some Davos-related stuff we could talk about. But let's start off with the YouTube CEO. He kind of reminds me of Louis from Casablanca or Inspector Clouseau. Shocked.
I do want
AI slop on here.
I do want to say something about Fridays, though, because my Fridays always start out the same. I wake up in the morning and I say, thank God it's Friday, which is followed shortly thereafter by, holy crap, it's Friday. So,
yes, that is true on Friday. What do you say on Thursday?
I say,
so happy it's Thursday.
It feels like a Friday. I don't know.
Thursday, one more day.
No, not Friday, I guess.
So, but guys, what is Captain Obvious over at YouTube?
So let's work this through a little bit a minute. So YouTube, which is part of Google, is basically saying they're going to crack down as soon as they figure out how on all this AI slop, which is kind of like pornography, right? We don't know exactly how to define it, but we all know what it is when we see it, kind of thing. But it seems to be proliferating everywhere. But, here's the odd thing, right? So Google provides some of the tools for creating this AI slop. And yet, if you go look at the best practices for creating content from Google search, it will tell you that you should not use these AI tools. And now they're saying, well, yeah, and by the way, let's not create more AI slop on YouTube with all that video stuff. I look at all this stuff and I'm like confused. But Guy, what's your take?
Well, let's I think start with the obvious point, which is, or maybe it's not so obvious, which is if you're let's say a tricky-minded person who may not know anything about content creation in particular, you might look at this and say, AI can produce a whole. I'm pretty good at coding, good at telling computers what to do. And hey, maybe what I could do is I could create a cajillion bits of content, video and otherwise, using a kind of a content factory or a set of content factories. I don't even need people in sweatshops or whatever anymore. And I can game the systems of YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and like wherever. I could just game these because they're designed to compensate based on human labor. So now I don't even need, it's just like, spam all over again, spam factories all over again. That's the first thing to me is what was originally priced and modeled based on human labor now can be produced lots more cheaply at maybe half or 1/4 the quality, and it just has to get past filters. And it's a new arms race, just like the security arms race. That'd be my first take on this.
I got a few thoughts on this.
I thought you might.
Yeah. So
They're shocking.
I two places I want to go with here. First of all, one person's slop is another person's stew, right? When you've got AI, when you've got YouTube itself encouraging us to use AI to make these videos, and then they're going to hold themselves out as the purveyor of which is slop and which is stew, it don't work. It just don't work. Because what they may consider slop may not necessarily be slop to Apple or Meta or one of these other places or to any of us. So my issue here is how do we have an objective standard over what truly is AI slop?
I was trying to, yeah. Okay,
go ahead.
So when I read the article or read the discussion on it, the thing that I'm thinking about is how do you define this? Or not how do you define it? Because we can't, as you said, we'll know it when we see it kind of thing. But what's the purpose of what they're trying to do? What is the motivation for him making this announcement about monitoring this? And the one thing that he'd said was deep fakes.
Yeah.
And then everything else was kind of jumbled after the deep fake kind of conversation. It was something about knowing that it's AI generated. It's like, so what? You know, knowing that something is computer graphic generated as opposed to a real photograph, or altered by computer graphics or whatever, versus a real photograph is okay. So is that important? That wasn't important before, but why is it important now?
That's the issue. Let me hit my other point that I wanted to make. Mitch, I copied you on this email. I reached out to from some security friends of ours.
Okay.
You know, a lot of companies are eliminating their bug bounty programs. Did you see the email, Mitch, on this?
I did.
Curl was the latest one.
Curl.
They're eliminating their bug bounty programs. Why? Not because there's not because there's no bugs. No, there's more bugs. But because people are using, security researchers are using AI to find vulnerabilities in people's code and people's applications. What's happening is AI is finding these really low-level bullcrap kind of vulnerabilities that are not
esoteric
very
vulnerabilities. Like, that would never actually happen.
And so it's just overwhelming these bug bounty programs to deal with all of this. Let's call it AI slop found bugs, right? In finding vulnerabilities, they're turning up AI slop. And so these companies are just washing their hands with it and saying, no, we're looking for, we're like StarKist. We want tuners that taste good. We don't want AI slop vulnerabilities. And it's the same thing here with video.
I think there's a lawsuit coming when the first time Google stands up and says, this is AI slop, and it happens to have been created using Grok, because people will be screaming that they're abusing their monopoly position, and all hell will break loose immediately, right?
Well, you're right. It's not an easy issue, and kind of where is something that we can all agree on, right? Is it because there's so much of, I have a right to use AI to produce whatever content that I want, but it seems like one dimension. Maybe we could get some agreement is quantity versus quality, right? Which all goes back to quality is about intent. What am I trying to do with this? Now there's nefarious intent. That doesn't mean that's quality, like misinformation. But when it's quantity, now you're talking about cheap prompts and fast rendering and stuff, just getting content out there and trying to flood the zone. Which can be an intent for bad purposes, but that's what a lot of this slop is. It's just generated. It's not someone really thinking about what they want to create, versus intent create content as I'm using AI as an accelerator, versus just me as an author of whatever I can get out on the wire. It seems like that might be one. And of course, I can't say let's put limits on how many posts Mitch can make a day, because I want to make as many as I want to. But seems to me that's the quality of what we judge this content by. Is this just slop, or has it got some useful purpose?
Guy.
Well, who judges?
Yes. Let me ask you a question here.
Who judges?
Wouldn't it just be easier to identify content that wasn't created using AI than it is to identify content that is created with AI?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there are I don't remember the details, but there has been at least one serious proposal along those lines. It's, the EFT, NFT, whatever version of validation that this is real content. But I think to Alan and Camberley's points, who cares in a certain sense, right? I care very much about where AI is taking us just in general, and what I think is a potential doom loop of AI generated content being used to train new AI and a devolution of quality and that sort of thing. But what is quality? This is a really great example for any corner of the world using AI to follow. Why? Because the money comes from eyeballs. Eyeballs are attracted to what the mind behind the eyes. I don't want to push this metaphor too far. It's kind of getting gross. But the point is that if it's like what Alan said, slop is in the eye of the beholder, paraphrasing, right? So what Camberley said is what's the point of all of this? YouTube paid what, $1 billion, according to the Techstrong article here, paid $1 billion to content creators since 2021. Wouldn't they like to pay only $500 million for the same thing by saying, oh, is an AI generated? Well, that's beside the point. Where's the value here? Some of the value is in YouTube getting it in front of people very contextually who are interested in it. But some of the value comes from the content itself. Who cares if it's AI generated? If people like it and people follow it, yeah, there's a tag, transparency, it says AI, but in a lot of cases, they don't care. So this is a capitalistic system. If 100% of everything we do in, 100 years is 100% AI generated, and we're just sitting there consuming all of it, I don't know, where's the money flow? It's sort of besides the point in that sense, whether it's AI generated or not.
Well, it's kind of a recursive doom loop in and of itself, because who here hasn't improved a paragraph, even if they wrote the whole thing, taken some section of it and say, hey, make this better. I'm kind of clunky. I need some help. It's like a writing assistant. But on the other hand, we are at a place where AI is being used to judge quality. We use AI as a tool to say, review this for me.
Don't say that.
No, it happens. It is a real thing. Review this for me. Give me feedback. Help me make it. How many?
Make it more compelling. Make it more enticing. Make it. Make people want to click on it.
Whatever engagement. So it's already being used as a quality tool, and next we'll have AI deciding what it's going to write about, of course. So in a way, it's an unsolvable problem, I think.
No, but I think go, Cam.
So one of the statements that was stated in the article or whatever, or referred to him, was that they're restoring trust in the platform. And the question is, what's eroding here? What are the people saying? What's the feedback that they're getting about their platform?
Oh, YouTube Kids. So, let's keep in mind, it's nefarious content.
Wait, what were you saying? YouTube Cares?
Kids, YouTube Kids.
YouTube Kids.
Okay. Yeah.
So, that makes sense in terms of, if he's putting some definition about what Slop is and what they're trying to accomplish with this. I think the rest of it is I think he'd probably agree with some of the conversation that we're having here.
Absolutely. Look, nefarious content is nefarious, whether it was done by AI or a human or an alien. It's nefarious. Right. Mm-hmm. So your normal community standards, your normal kind of processes and rules are at play here. We don't have to put a scarlet letter on it, a big A on it. I forgot, was it in Star Trek or somewhere where the holograms had to have the H on their forehead or whatever. We don't need to do that. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's bad, it's bad. Whether it's AI or not, that's an artificial distinction.
I think that
I'm not sure the audiences care. I'm not sure that the audiences care. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I think the concern that they have, though, is will there be so much quote unquote AI slop that it will just overwhelm all the other content they have, and people will stop watching because they're going to be there's just too much crap on this.
Turn it off.
Quote unquote network.
Yep. So guys,
we got a
question from the field here. Why does Google create AI tools then? If it's telling people, they're going to crack down on AI slop. I think that's an easy
so they can
answer. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Well, I think it's both sides. I think it's like everything else. There's everything that is pretty much in this world. We can create a negative and something very damaging, as well as creating something very positive with it. So I think what he's trying to do here is what you were talking about, Guy, is the kids, nefarious, kind of however you're going to define nefarious, things that we consider in our civic line of looking at the world as being something that's damaging. And that's maybe what slop is. Instead of calling it slop, maybe you ought to call it something else, because it's not really slop. Slop is sloppy business, sloppy writing, sloppy pictures, sloppy whatever. I think, it's more defined than just calling it slop.
I think this is suddenly dawning on the CEO of YouTube to say, wow, this is a problem. This is not new to AI. We had this with Hey, what we have, everybody that's now a YouTube star is that Slop. To someone else it might be, to another audience it isn't. What about the content boards that judged, is this fact checked to be correct or not? Of course, those have been eliminated because everybody has different facts, whether they're facts or not. So AI adding to it maybe adds velocity to it and quantity, but it's still the same problem we had before, and we haven't solved that. We haven't solved the human-generated content problem yet, more or less the AI-generated.
And one of the things I would like to make sure, the one area that I think, to me, that is really important to understand if it's real or AI, is music. It's kind of like listening to, I've never listened to Mitch play his guitar, but I would rather know, that music, and that he's, when he's fingering the strings and that kind of stuff. That's a skill. That's a tough.
It is, but I'm going to tell you something. I touched on this on, I think it was the Shimmy Says a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that AI is going to set free is creativity around the arts. So you want to call it synthetic music versus human played music, fine. But we are going to see a revolution in music and art that we've never seen before. And it's different. It's different than what we've done before, where Mitchell's playing the guitar or someone's painting a picture. We're going to have AI artists who are using AI to create music, to create art. Brian, one of our video and sound editors here on our team, he's a Grammy Award-winning sound engineer, right? And maybe you and I, Camberley, as non-professional music people, wouldn't be able to do this, but he is creating music in AI and then creating music videos with characters singing the lyrics that AI wrote based upon the prompts Brian gave it. And it's crazy good stuff. It's totally synthetic, but it is an art form unto itself, for sure, that whether it was synthetic or not, you're going to enjoy it. And I am curious to see how this plays out in the world.
I'm getting
and
you.
I don't deny that. My husband wrote me a love song on AI. And it was
nice.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It had me in tears. Okay. So the bar has been risen, guys.
Did you clear it with him that you're saying this out in public?
Yeah, because he's a fabulous guy,
But I told you it was written with AI, so right?
I'm going to get Alan that Liza Minnelli AI album for his birthday. That's what's coming up.
All right. Hey, guys, we're way over time, though. We got to move along here. Let's go to blue collar AI. Mike, what's this one about?
So you were mentioning Davos, and Jensen Huang was there talking about the impact AI was going to have on blue-collar jobs. And he said that, well, it's a boon because there's all these blue-collar jobs being created by building data centers. And we need carpenters and electricians and those things and the kind. Now, I found this comment a little rich, to be honest, because two other things are also true. One is, well, we don't have enough carpenters and electricians to build the data centers, and this is becoming yet another thing that is holding back the deployment of AI. And then secondarily, when we don't have those people, then, well, what are we going to do? Well, NVIDIA is going to build some robots to become electricians and carpenters and take those jobs and replace that gig. So I'm not quite clear how NVIDIA sees itself as the new champion for blue-collar jobs, but I found the thing, shall we say, circular in its logic. And I know we talked about this earlier this week, but Alan, I'd love to get your thoughts on this again.
So here's my thoughts on this. This is no more than some syrupy, sugary dessert that's going to give you a sugar high, and then you're going to go back to sleep because you got a tummy ache, right? Even assuming we had enough electricians and carpenters and all of that, okay, it's like the rat that the snake swallowed, right? So, okay, we got this big AI data center we're building in West Texas, landman country, right? And Tommy's son is an electrician working on it. And that's great. They're paying him a fortune while we're building that. And then it gets built. Now, what's he going to do next? build houses for all the people working at those data centers, all 20 of them, right? There's nothing behind it. It's a sugar rush. And unless that electrician is then going to pack up and move to, what was it from yesterday? West Des Moines, Iowa, not East Des Moines, West Des Moines, to build the next data center there. And when he's done there, he's going to go on and get his scuba gear and build the next data center at the bottom of the ocean, and then get on Blue Origin and build the next data center up in space. It's pie in the sky. And then, as you say, Mike, if it gets too good, we're just going to get, and it gets too expensive, it's cheaper to have robots do it. So, Jensen, come on.
Right.
Come on.
And then they come back and their spouse ran off with a data scientist. So,
Ouch. Wow.
Bump. That drummer.
Listen, let me summarize for everyone Jensen's statements about this at Davos. Woo, woo, look at that, woo, look at that, woo. I mean, come on. How dumb. I mean, look, as much as I can like any of these, billionaire, like tech whoever's, yeah. Well, I don't think of Lisa Su as a tech bro. She did make the cover of Time as well. Anyway, I like Jensen, but he's a salesperson, has been from the start, and he is on this global PR tour of don't worry, be a happy NVIDIA buyer, because it's a wave he's going to ride as far as he can. I think the incentives are completely corrupt for this whole class of gajillionaires and what have you. And so I'm saying all this because I don't really want to impugn him by saying that this is just the most ridiculous argument I've ever seen. The Bureau of Labor Statistics did say that last year on data center related jobs, it's not just pure construction, right? Because you got wire pullers and operators and all this sort of stuff. That grew by 14% from 2024 to 2025. I don't know how many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of jobs that represents, but according to McKinsey, as recently as last year, they expect 30% of hours worked to be automated by 2030 in the U.S. That's 40 million jobs impacted. 40 million, and I say impacted. They're not all going to be lost. Some of them will turn into part-time jobs. Yay! I mean, it's absurd on its face. The statement is absurd. And
here's the problem, and we get it from a question out here, right? It erodes when Jensen and these people make these kinds of circular arguments. It erodes our confidence, our trust, right? Can we trust what the CEOs of AI companies are saying about the impact of AI, or do we recognize them for the snake oil salesmen they are?
Or is this
exactly.
Is this just purely a comment aimed at Wall Street, and it's just trying to move a stock price, and the devil be damned with the rest of it?
Same difference.
But it's a dumb argument.
Hold on, Camberley, go ahead.
There is the group of people that are basically saying, don't worry, AI is wonderful. It's going to be everybody. And I think that is completely insensitive. And it is ignorant. It shows how ignorant they are and how out of touch they are with what is going on in the world.
Well, hold on, Cam. Hold on. I don't think they're ignorant. There are a lot of things, but they're not ignorant.
Okay, they're out of touch.
I think they think we're ignorant, maybe, but they're not ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so
at
it's callous.
the same time, coming out of Davos, so here's Jensen, spouting all this stuff. At the same time, you've got others coming out of there, basically saying, one of the worldwide economists coming out of EU, she was talking about how the young will suffer the most, and how we've talked about this before on this, is how it's that entry-level jobs are going to be hurting. And, and then the other thing that happened, I think it was today or yesterday, Amazon announced that they're laying off 14 to 17,000 people, and they're going to start by next week, Thursday. So, thank you very much, Jensen. What about that? And in this statement, they are relating it to AI. It's human resources people that are going to be laid off, as well as AWS. And then you have, maybe this is a good thing that's happening, is you've got, 2 senators. One of them is Democrat, the other one is Republican, trying to work through a reporting of jobs that are laid off because of AI, and having companies have to state
at least have some transparency.
So there's, that's okay. You're spitting into the wind, Jensen.
So
I don't think we can look to the tech. I don't think we can look to the tech bros for our philanthropy of what happens to humankind.
No.
When it comes to AI, they have a very clear agenda. They're running companies. They have stockholders, and they're about building the value of the companies and the value of the stock for their stockholders as well as themselves, no doubt. I mean, that's the environment. It's whether you want to call them robber barons from back in the railroad days, you want to call them tech bros today. That's their purpose. They're not philanthropists about what happens in society. What I'm disappointed about Davos is we spent all of our time talking about Greenland and ridiculous things like that, instead of talking about AI and what that impact is to our economies. Because it isn't just stock value. It's, the U.S.'s value is its purchasing power, right? The gross domestic product. And if people don't have incomes, well, guess what? It doesn't matter how fast or quicker or better you can make something with AI if nobody's out there to buy it and consume it.
Well,
so it is in their interest to work on that part of the problem. And I think that's what we need to challenge them to do. They're not my heroes because they're tech bros.
They're certainly not.
That's all goodness for them.
But when we look at Davos through the lens of history, there's one quote that is going to sum this Davos up. If you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu.
Boy, isn't that true?
God bless Mark Carney. That was a brilliant speech he made. All right, let's move along. Move along. Come on, move along.
Is that the droids you're looking for?
Not the droids you're looking for, Mitch. Trouble with tribbles. Oh, no, trouble with platforms.
So we have a post up on platformengineering.com that we would encourage everybody to go check out, but it talks about the challenges IT teams have with creating and maintaining platforms, and they give some advice about how to go about doing that. Camberley, I'd love to get your thoughts here, because we've been trying to make IT platforms for decades, and there seems to be some sort of pressure that always comes around that says we can't keep the platform the way we want it because somebody wants to innovate something, or there's some bespoke thing over here. And just what makes it hard to manage IT as a platform versus kind of what we see every day?
So I think that's called, one tool to solve them all, which really doesn't exist. We have done that many times. So if what we're saying is I want, one single screen, I still have to go down, to the core of the technology, whether it's the server, the network, or the storage device, and kind of get into the technology thing. And you just can't. We've done this, I don't know, for years and years and years. And each time it's kind of failed, because it only can do so much when we have a simple platform, because the complexity, I was this last week for some work that I was doing, I'm reading up on heavy duty, high end SAN systems. And when you look at how complex those things are, there's a JBot, and then there's these things, that whether it's the DS8000 or the, PowerMax or whatever, those things are super complex. And the options to do things like replication and synchronization, or whether or not doing, service level optimization, are huge. And to think that somebody else could build a single platform to manage all those kind of things, then let's throw in file systems and object storage all of a sudden, which are, two different completely protocols. Be crazy. Ain't gonna happen.
Hey, I got to call timeout. God bless Camberley Bates. Let me just tell you something about this lady right here. She quote unquote retired from Futurum Group, I guess around the first of the year, December or Thanksgiving, a couple of months ago. She spends her weekend digging in on reports about the latest SAN storage platforms and everything, and whether they're what's going on with them.
Probably
Just
while she's
saying.
on the slope. So man, let me think
No,
about that
no,
platform.
you know, who else does that but Camberley Bates? Who else does this?
Curiosity, the little person that I've got, it's like, just can't stop it.
You are wired
Well,
that
just
way,
when
for
you
sure.
thought you were out there pulling you back in, you need to get back on the horse, lady.
I should show you the sand my toes were sticking into this last week. I mean,
All
I
right.
was reading
Good for
Charles
you.
Dickens that time. I was reading Charles Dickens, okay? I was not reading the other stuff.
All right.
What did
Carry
Dickens
on,
have to say
carry
about
on.
JBods? Just out of curiosity.
But wait, A Tale of Two Cities is an IT story, but that's another.
That's your topic. Thank you.
Well, you know, I think I'm a big advocate of platforms, but one vendor's platform is another vendor's product suite, right? Like, what is it supposed to do for you besides better packaging, better branding, and trying to rationalize siloed individual products? That's obviously not a platform, but I think you have to go back to why do you want a platform? One of the drivers tends to be better integration, less integration you have to do across functions that happen of either the organizations or processes that happen on a particular platform, whether it's security or operational or development. Another aspect is data usage and accessibility. So you're not constantly trying to integrate different data sources across different vendors' tools, even from the same vendor, things like that. And then I think the third thing is workflows that can happen across that, both multi-organizational and disciplined workflows take observability, right? It isn't just IT ops. It isn't just security. It isn't just platform engineering. It isn't just development. It's all those things. So I think you have to evaluate it based on some principles like that. You may have your own of what a platform means. That's some of the core of what I think it is. But everybody, like every other term in our industry, once it's popular, everybody has it, whether they have it or not. You know, it's on the label, it's on the billboard, but it may not be in the product.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the word platform, but frankly, I can't think of another term that could be used in its place that was more accurately describe what we're dealing with. But I don't know.
Well, Slop's already used.
I think it's one of the
Slop, Mike. So that one's
it's one of the rare cases, I think, Mike, where the word platform actually applies because it's vague.
And okay, so we've had platforms, if you will. vCenter would be a platform. The way it's been was designed and how you click through it. Red Hat, OpenShift, and how they put all that together is a platform because I can manage it. I'll take you way back. Something called VCE. If you remember
Oh, Lord.
That's a way back.
I worked there. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I worked with one of its successors. Yeah.
The concept of that was to deliver, you rolled in a box. That was a platform. NVIDIA is trying to create the platform in terms of what they did in the latest boxes that they are delivering, or some of the companies are delivering, the AI in a box and rolling that in. So you have a platform to smooth and ease the process of it. So there is that. I mean, I did say you can't do this. It's tough to do, but we have done this.
But it gets better. Kubernetes is a platform for building platforms. So,
But my take on this story was, I think, different from you folks. My take on this story was that the best platforms in the world don't address the fundamental issue of ops paying attention to and providing what dev needs. I mean, to requote Alan from earlier, I am shocked to hear that there is ops people not listening to dev people in this establishment. This is like one of the oldest stories ever. It probably goes back to ENIAC. You have the dial twiddlers and propeller head system builders, and they just want to create beautiful, in this case, perfect platforms. And if the dev people don't use it the right way, well, that's the dev people's fault. I mean,
Moses, let my people.
Yeah, it probably does. It probably does. So I ask myself, is it possible for tools or processes or technology ever to defeat cultural issues? I mean, what you're talking about, I think it's Itential that's mentioned in the article. I mean, they produce their design points are around a lot of the things you talked about, Mitch, making it easier to support what dev already does instead of making dev change what they do, creating workflows that are relatively easy to set up and run across whatever you're calling the platform or not, to Camberley's point. That's all great. But this cultural divide, so to speak, just never seems to go away.
Well, when you have your way of doing things, I'm sorry, Alan, go ahead.
No, you go, Cam.
When you have your specific way you're doing things, especially if you're an old girl like me and you've learned all those things, then you're throwing something else at me to say, relearn how to do this. And I'm like going, I can do this faster if you just let me do it my way.
Yeah. Which is the right way, by the way, just so everybody knows. That's the only true,
Not necessarily.
right and correct way.
Well, let me jump in here. I got a confession. I've always sort of considered myself the voice of the everyman. In the tradition of Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, Alan Shimel. There you go. So
wow.
Why do platforms fail? Because I think not for the C level, not even for the SVP level, but for the single contributor, for the practitioner, platforms are usually something imposed from up high. I'm doing my thing my way. It works. I like the tool I use. I like the suite of tools I've cobbled together because they're best in class. They're what I like. I'm comfortable. And now all of a sudden, some guy up in some ivory tower is saying, we're going to a platform and we're going to, we're going to Borg you. In essence, right? You will be absorbed, you will be assimilated, and you're going to use what I tell you to use and do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. And as a worker bee, I resent it. And I use it because I got to use it, but I don't love it. And I don't feel as productive as I was. Right. And I get that we can't have 30 different tools, especially in DevOps. This was a big problem. We can't have 30 different tools for CI/CD. We need standardization. We want one throat to choke. We want it to be more economical. But
we also want to be able to be innovative and creative and try new things. And go on.
Right. At that individual level, Guy, I want to be innovative and creative and try new things.
Exactly.
And as a skilled craftsman, I like to pick my own tools. And
I was going to ask ChatGPT to create the developer experience Kumbaya song, but I'll scrap that now.
There you go. So that
not song for the DevOps.
That's Blowing in the Wind by Shimmy for today. But that's why I think a lot of platforms or adopting platforms just don't make it. They get forced down from up top. This was a big thing. Is DevOps a bottom up, a top down, middle out? A little of all of it to be successful.
To be fair, though, it goes the other way, right? Because now you see developers all building their own perfect custom platforms themselves, and then they don't want to maintain it, and then all these things start to sprawl all over the place, and we get the other extreme.
Yeah, no, and that's true too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have infinite variability here. You got to have some standardization. Anyway, we're about out of time, guys. It's Friday.
Well, this has been fun.
It has been. Camberley, Guy, as always, Mitchell, Mike, thank you. Hey, just a quick shout out. I've got a double bonus, Shimmy says. I did one yesterday on DevOps, the never ending story, but I got one today. On digital sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is national sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is personal sovereignty. I highly go check it. I like that little
rim shot.
Ching. But go check it out. I think it plays at 2:30 on all your favorite social media channels.
This thing you're describing exists in a new country called Shimel Land.
You know what? It's on my next album. It's on my next
I think
album.
it's currently owned by Denmark and is called DevOps Land or something.
Mike, I want to hear your love song to the DevOps people.
Okay, it's Friday. I'll indulge you all. It's fine. Anyway, hey, we're going to be back Monday. We've got Techstrong TV following it. We've got so much good stuff going on. Do check out a lot of the content, even on the, if you like written articles as well. We've got a lot of stuff out there for you to learn on, to chew on. We're certainly living in interesting times. So on behalf of us all, this is Alan Shimel. We're out.